Hello, it's Monika from Crafting with Quilling, and I hope you have absolutely fabulous day. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a Safari Style Easel Stepper card. If you like it, I really hope you'll feel inspired and craft along with me. For today's project, I'm going to use new issue, Creative Stamping Magazine, issue 121. In the magazine, you got lots of amazing projects to try, but it also comes with A4 stamp set collection called Safari. As you can see, there are lots of amazing images and sentiments you can use for a variety of projects, but it also comes with A6 embossing folder, which is really cool. To create my card base, I've got 6 by 12 inches white card, and we're going to score it at 3 inches. Then I'm going to score it at 6 inches. Then I'm going to move my middle line to my black line so it's easier to see. And I'm going to score another 3 inches, which in this case is 7 here. And then I'm going to turn it over to make my job easier. I'm going to score it at 1 inch, 2 inches, and also 2.5 inches. So I've got panels measuring 1, 1, half an inch, 3, 3, and 3. Literally, that's all you need to do. Now it is time to fold and burnish all those score lines. You can use your bone folder or, like in this case, scoring tool, and that will be perfectly fine. All you have to do at this point is to make sure that all the lines are burnished properly. So we're going to create some mountains and valleys to create that, let's say, 3D effect with that easel stepper card. If you've never ever created this style of card, I do encourage you, especially for scene cards. I think this is such a unique card style, and I think it works just perfectly. And what's really good about this, as with every single fancy fold, it folds flat, so it can go in the envelope very easily. When this is ready, it will be time to decorate all those panels. So let's start with the biggest one. And I'm going to create a panel measuring 6 by 3 inches, and it will be time to actually create a border because I really want to have some contrast. So I'm using my black alcohol marker to create a border. As you can see, I'm not bothered with coloring the whole panel, literally just the frame. When this is ready, I need another panel, and this one is 2 3/4 by 5 3/4. And now it is the favorite part of all of it. It is time for some ink blending. I'm going to use my new Bando Distress ink, but also Distress Oxide ink in Carved Pumpkin and Mustard Seed. If you're interested in any of the products I use in today's video, you can check the description down below. And I also wonder, do you have the new issue of Creative Stamping Magazine 121? If you do, please let me know what project would you like to create. If you're inspired by my video creating a sunset scene, I would absolutely love to see your project. So please let me know in the comments down below. When I saw this safari stamp set with all those African animals, I thought I really need to create a sunset. And I thought it has to be easel card. But how can I make it even more special? I really wanted that easel card to stand proudly on a flat surface, so that's why I decided to create a stepper card as well. As you can see, I left some space in the middle. I'm not very worried at this point because I'm going to create sun. I'm going to use Made to Surprise lightweight circle cutter, but whenever you use it, I do encourage you to put it on a cutting mat because you don't want to damage your surface. So I've got some white card here, and I'm going to create a small circle. You can also use some circular nesting dies, and that will be perfectly fine. All I wanted here, just to make sure that it goes over my contrasting border, but it is, let's say, narrow enough so it goes in the middle. I'm going to cut the excess of my sun using my guillotine from Crafter's Companion, and when I'm happy with it, I'm going to color in my sun using Distress Oxide ink in Mustard Seed color. And whenever you create any sun scene, like in this case sunset, or you can also create a sunrise as well, just add a little bit of pink. But whenever you create any sun, just make sure the outer edge is darker, because that's what makes your project special and more organic and realistic. When this is done, I'm going to create some other panels. So it is time to create 1 inch by 6 inches, and that will go in the middle step here, but I'll also have half an inch by 6 inches, and that will go at the very front. And to distress them, I'm going to use just the mustard seed and carved pumpkin, and I think these colors work together very well. I really like analog colors, so in this case we've got yellow, orange and red, but if you know me, you know how much I love the combination of green, blue and purple, and those 3 colors are also analogs because they are in the same color family. I really like to work with them, and I think they just make every single project so special. So, as you can see, I'm trying to have some variety on those 2 smaller panels, and I'm going backwards and forwards with that yellow mustard seed color. I just want to have very nice, let's say, blending effect here. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter because I'm going to cover it with a little bit of pattern, because when I saw that stamp set collection Safari, and there are some patterns and I really like them, so I thought, how can I make sure that I can put them on this project? First, I'm going to attach that black border, the sunset and the sun together, and I'm going to put them on a card. So when this will be ready, then you have to think, how do you want to decorate the rest of your card? And as you saw with that free stamp set Safari, there are lots of animals and I really like them. They look very realistic, and that's what I really like about this issue, because sometimes you can get stamps that look like cartoon characters, and to be honest, personally, I don't really like it. So I'm going to stamp some trees, but also animals from here. And first, yes, let's go back. First, let's try to use that Distress ink in Barn Door color. And I'm going to try this pattern. As you can see, this stamp is pretty short but long. So if it doesn't stay on a straight line here, I'm going to show you a trick in a moment, just to make sure that it will be lined properly. So first, as you saw, I just tested my stamp and that Distress Oxide ink, and when I was happy with the result, I decided to stamp that pattern on the background I created, and I'm going to repeat it. And at this point, if you have any gaps here, do not worry, you're going to cover it, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So my first panel is ready, and I'm going to use exactly the same stamp for the top of this bigger panel. And at this point, I thought I really like it, but there is something missing at the bottom. And in that stamp set collection, Safari, in Creative Stamping Magazine issue 121, you also have some additional lines. So I thought, let's use them. They are very beautiful, and I thought that will give me even more interest to the whole project. So as you can see, this is not on a straight line. So what you do, you literally put it on your surface that you work on, like in this case here, and then you put your acrylic block, and now it is super straight. So this is my trick for you, how to make sure it's properly lined. Now it is time to stamp it, and at this point I'm going to have a gap here, but as I told you, I'm not going to be worried. I'm going to cover it later on. So when these panels are ready, I can move on to my next step. And it's always a good idea to use some stamping cushion underneath, so all the images you stamp will be beautiful and crisp. As you can see, for all the elements I'm adhering here, I'm using my liquid glue. And I do encourage you to use any liquid adhesive, because whenever you create any scenery, that will really make a difference, because you can maneuver the elements if you make a mistake. So when this is ready, that will be my favorite part. I'm going to stamp all those beautiful animals and the trees. So I'm going to use the leftover card from 12 by 12 inches. I created the card base, so don't waste your card. Use whatever you've got. Trust me, with just one 12 by 12 inches white card, you can create so many beautiful projects. So here I decided which animals I want to use, and I decided to have a lion, cub, also lioness, and that amazing elephant. I'm going to use my black ink from Noir, and this always gives me that very nice crisp image, so I thought let's use it. And it's waterproof, but to be honest it doesn't really matter at this point. You can use any black ink that works for you. But I'm going to show you a trick. As you can see, with those trees, we do have lots of white spaces because that's how they look like. But to make sure that we can actually see a sunset through them, I'm going to use my craft knife and I'm going to cut all those small pieces between the branches. And I think that's what makes this project very special. Do you like to fussy cut your stamped images, or do you like to use cutting dice, or maybe use your scan and cut or Cricut machines? Please let me know in the comments down below. So when this is ready, I'm going to move on to the next piece of card, and I'm going to stamp 2 leftover animals. Yes, I'm using exactly the same black ink. I'm going to stamp it. And to be honest, I'm using that black waterproof ink from Noir because I'm going to use, spoiler alert, I'm going to use my Zig markers, which are watercolor markers. And I don't want that black ink to bleed. So it is time to color them in, and I really tried hard to make them as realistic as possible. So as you can see, I don't really have that many pens to do it because Zig markers blend beautifully. So what you do first, you use your darker color, then lighter color, and then you can go back with the darker color and blend with a lighter color. And that's what I did here, which is super quick and simple. But if you want to have even better results, you can use a watercolor card, and that would be even better. So when the lion is ready, with the mane I decided I really need more contrast because the body is pretty good. But with the mane, as you can see, for shadows I'm not going to use any black because if you use black color it is super strong. So if you create shadows, please don't use black. So in this case I'm going to use brown, not brown, gray. Gray. So that will really make a difference because the mane is going to be brown, but if you add that darker gray, that will give us more contrast and actually texture. So I do encourage you to use darker colors, but not black for shadows. I really hope you do enjoy this video. And I wanted to say a massive thank you because this month I'm literally overwhelmed with how many new subscribers joined my channel. So I wanted to say a massive thank you to every single one of you. And if you do enjoy this video, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you would like to see more coloring tutorials, like in this case, I really want to know, do you want me to use alcohol markers or watercolor markers, like in this case Zig markers? And if you want to get any of the products I use here, you can check all the links in the description down below. I also, if you notice, I'm very obsessed with fancy fold cards at the moment. To be honest, it is all because of a friend of mine, Mona. She introduced me to fancy fold cards, and to be honest, I'm literally obsessed. I just try new techniques every single day. So if you haven't seen my other fancy fold cards, I'm going to leave a link at the top right corner here, but also 2 other fancy fold cards at the very end of this one. And we also have a Facebook group just for fancy folds. So all the information you can check in the description down below. And March is dedicated to Dutch card. Next month we're going to create some Z-fold cards, so check the information in the description down below, and if you use hashtag FFC Challenge 2023 you can check all the amazing fancy fold projects other crafters have created, because it is an open collaboration. So I do encourage you to try it, because every single month is dedicated to a different fancy fold. So if you haven't seen my Dutch card, please check it out, and I'll leave the link at the very end of this one. So coming back to the video, as you can see, I really enjoy myself creating this project. I was thinking, how can I make sure that it's very realistic, but I also have a scenery here. So now it is time to fussy cut all those elements, and as I told you with the trees, I also use my craft knife and a cutting mat, but I still have those white spaces. So there is a trick to do it. You can use your Distress Oxide inks or whatever inks you use to create the background. And you just go over very gently, and that will make a massive difference. So, when this is ready, I'm also going to use a tissue just to get rid of the excess of Distress Oxide ink, because as you can see, it is pretty opaque on that black. But if you use the tissue, that will make a difference. So, when these trees are ready, especially the big one here, I had to use some darker orange because we do have that sky color. But with the sun, we only have yellow. So, now it's time to use the tissue just to get rid of the excess of the ink, and it will be time to adhere all those elements. So as you can see here, I'm actually creating that dry run. I want to make sure that everything is spaced evenly and where I want them. And again, I'm using my one and only liquid glue, magic glue, because it dries clear, so no one will ever know that you made a mistake. And as you can see, it has that fine nozzle, which makes sticking so much easier. I've got my 2 trees ready, and it is time for the elephant. What do you think about him? Do you like him? I really do. And to be honest, at this point, that card stands on my desk and I just keep staring at it. I really like it. Also, I wanted to know, do you like sunsets or do you prefer sunrises? Please let me know in the comments. A few years ago, I went to Isle of Wight, and to see the sunrise, I had to wake up at 3:30. But to be honest, it was worth it because the sky was magical. But if you prefer sunsets, please let me know in the comments down below. When all those elements are adhered, now, as you can see, the cut stands really proudly on the flat surface. It's very tricky to actually show it on camera. It is time for a sentiment, and in that Safari stamp set collection from Creative Stamping magazine, there is a really cool birthday sentiment. So I'm going to stamp it here. But to make sure that all the elements match on my card, I'm going to use the leftover card from the stamping I created. I'm going to use that Mustard Seed Distress Oxide ink, and let's do a little bit of blending. And this way everything will match. But to make sure it's actually even more matching, yes, let's put it that way. When I stamp the sentiment with the black ink, I'm going to use Bando Distress ink, and I'm going to create that red border. So it will actually look like the sunset I created, just a little bit. And I think that what will make this project even more special. Now I'm going to use my scissors to fussy cut it. If you're not comfortable with it, you can use your guillotine or trimmer, and that will be perfectly fine. Now it is time to add that red color border, and it will be complete. As you can see, inside there is plenty of space to write your message. And as it is fancy fold, it folds flat in the envelope. But I'm going to show you a trick how to make this card even smaller to put it inside the envelope. Because if you see the lion and the lioness, they take a little bit of space. But if you fold it the other way, you can make this card smaller. So our sentiment is ready, and the card is totally complete. So what do you think about this? Do you like it? So now it is the first way to fold the card, but you can also fold it this way. As you can see, it is smaller and it will go in the envelope beautifully. So that's the finished project. So what do you think about this easel stepper card? Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching and spending that time with me. Don't forget to like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And tomorrow I'm going to have super cool Mother's Day card for you. Thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting and see you tomorrow. Bye!